In this video, we're gonna start implement rewarded ads in the video player, just like a YouTube mid-roll ads by using the rewarded video, since I just showed in the intro video. We have added the dependency library in the Gradle file, which is 20.3, or you better use the latest one. And we start seeing the project. After that, I'm gonna add the sample app ID in the Android manifest file because we have to identify the app. So I placed in the between the application elements. And this I just copied it from the developer website. And here is the sample ID, sample app ID for testing. Okay, now we start to design the layout, which is in the activity watch.xml. We will insert a corner label to display the countdown time to display the ad. I'm gonna copy the snippet, and this section you might pause the video a while to look at the code. I'm gonna set this to visible so that we can see the label will place at the edge of the screen, either in the portrait mode or in the landscape mode. Again, if you want to look at this, please pause the video. Okay, by the way, the important is in this element is the ID that we will use it later on. Okay, so I'm gonna change this to gone by default. And now let's go to the watch activity class. We're gonna implement tracking the minutes when the video is playing. We're gonna use the handler with the post delay time. I'm gonna define it in the global. And then in this function, I'm going to instance the handler class. Next, we'll call that handler in this listener. Now I can say if the player is not ready to play, I will remove the callback handler to stop the progress post delay. Just fill in the callback name that we haven't created yet. And then in else case, we're gonna call the onProgress function, which we will implement in the next. So I'm going to copy that callback name and I'm great with the runnable interface. And we call out the progress function. And these are the same functions that we will implement. And this function will do some algorithm to find the maximum delay time. I will get the current minutes that playing. Just in case that player is null, we're gonna return the 0 value. So I start to remove the callback once again, because I don't want to handler activate another callback while we are doing this in here. Then I get the playback state for check if there is not in the loading states or end the video. I'm going to work in the post delay with the maximum delay time. And we're gonna use this delay MS for later on. Okay, in here, we're going to display the ads in any desired minute. So let's say I'm gonna define a value which is referred to the minutes delay the ads. So for example, 4000 milliseconds, that is equal to the 4 seconds. Then we're gonna check the currently time, which is the position in between the 4 seconds. We're gonna call initAdd function to load the rewarded ads that we will create now. And the last one, we need to call the handler start with the pulse delay in the milliseconds. Okay, I'm start define the function, and inside this function, will implement only the ads to display with some logic with a label countdown time. First, define a global object rewarded interstitial ad, so that I can easily use this object later on to check in some case. In this body function, we have to initialize add with this statement. Because all add formats, we will require to do this. Okay, and then we call rewarded interstitial ads to load with the current context. And then the second parameter, add unit ID, that I'm going to use is the simple one, because we are in the development mode. And the next is add request. And the last one is callback listener that allows us to overriding these functions. This one for valid add data, which is returned from inventory server. And another one is error that we can retrieve or nothing returned from the inventory. So I'm gonna set this into null. And in this onload function, I'm gonna pass the value to the global. And then we're gonna start implement the callback function when at the display in the full screen. Okay, then I have to implement the method inside that. I decided to select 3 of these because in add impression function it's just like a add show full screen. Okay. So in this function, load add full, I'm going to show the log message. And in here, I'm going to remove this callback again. When a user closes the ads, and this function will call. So I'm going to resume play the video after the user click close ad. And then reset the object global into null. Alright, when the ad is loaded, we are ready to display the ad on the screen. So in here, I'm going to show the countdown time before the ad is run on the screen. I'm going to define those layout and the text to apply the action. By default, I'm already set it to gone, and now I'm going to set it back to the visible. And the countdown time, I'm going to choose the countdown timer instead of using thread. For the first parameter is the duration in millisecond. Let's say 4000, which is run in 4 seconds. And the step to countdown is a second. I have to override the functions. One when it's running countdown, so I'm going to set the text to the text view, and then after countdown to 0, it's gonna call this function on finish. I'm going to hide the countdown label again, okay? And then I will display the ads on the screen, because rewarded ads have the listener function to return the rewarded value. And that's why we have to implement this, but I just leave it empty here. So the last, don't forget start the countdown. And I will add the boolean value in here to prevent the continuously call, because you know the current positions that we run on the timeline is run on the millisecond. So I will define a global booleans and check in here. First time that gonna be false, and then I'm going to change the status to true. Then we switch the values to false in initAdd function. Here, when a user click X button, means dismiss the ad, so we can reset it back to false. And here we also can check if it's not null. I also don't want to request the add again. And over here, don't forget place the same poll unit ID for the revalid ads. Okay. Alright, so now we can start running our application. Okay, so let's check this minutes at 4 seconds. And the ad start making the request to the server. So it's gonna be a delay sometimes, some seconds to show up the label. Okay. So you can see here the label is start show. And the countdown until 0 is going to play the ad. And we can restart and play in the landscape mode also. Alright, now if you want the source code, please check the link in the description below. And I hope you enjoy this. Please like and subscribe this video. See you in the next.